Tom Silva's story begins far from television studios, in the working-class neighborhood of Lexington, Massachusetts, where he grew up surrounded by sawdust, hammer echoes, and the scent of freshly cut wood. Building wasn't just a job in his family. It was a way of life. His father, a skilled builder himself, didn't send young Tom to any formal trade school. Instead, he handed him a tool belt and brought him along to job sites, teaching him not just how to do the work, but why every cut and measurement mattered. Those early lessons about doing things right the first time became the foundation of the craftsman Tom would eventually become. Growing up in a town full of colonial buildings and historic architecture, Tom learned to see houses as more than structures. They were pieces of history worth preserving. While many in the construction trade came up through textbooks or classroom instruction, Tom's education happened shoulder to shoulder with experienced tradesmen who value quality over shortcuts and pride over profit. Eventually, Tom and his brother Richard turned everything they had learned into a business of their own, founding Silva Brothers Construction, a family-run company built on old-school values. Whether tackling a small renovation or a major historical restoration, Tom brought the same careful approach to every project, and before long, word spread throughout Massachusetts that if you wanted a job done right, you called the Silvas. That reputation eventually caught the attention producers at the PBS series' Old House, which was already popular with viewers interested in home repair and restoration, but needed someone who didn't just understand construction intellectually, but had actually lived it. What started as a guest appearance evolved into a decades-long role that brought Tom's warmth and expertise into homes across the country. Despite the fame that followed, Tom never drifted from his roots. He remained the same person who might help a neighbor patch a roof as he was on camera explaining load-bearing walls. And over the years, his presence on the show became about more than construction. It became a reminder that craftsmanship and pride in one's work still mattered. Tom's path to television wasn't something he pursued. In the mid-1980s, he was simply running his contracting business with no interest in appearing on camera until a chance encounter with his neighbor, television producer Russell Morrish, changed everything. When Morrish first suggested Tom appear on television, Tom turned him down, saying he was too busy running Silva Brothers Construction to take on anything else. But Morrish had already seen Tom's craftsmanship firsthand, since Silva Brothers had built a set for his PBS program, The Victory Garden, and he believed Tom's skill deserved a wider audience. The actual turning point wasn't a formal audition, but Morrish showing up unannounced at one of Tom's job sites with a camera crew, while Tom was setting up a room for fellow contractor Norm Abram to film a segment. Morrish simply clipped the microphone onto him. And just like that, Tom was on camera with no script and no rehearsal. By 1986, Tom had officially joined this Old House as the show's general contractor, and 2 years later Silva Brothers Construction became the program's official contracting firm. From there, his role on the show only grew. He took on renovation projects that most people would never attempt, including an 1887 Nantucket house that turned into nearly a full rebuild, a 1906 arts and crafts church converted into a private home, and a 1721 farmhouse that had tilted backward 8 inches due to a rotted sill. There was also a project in Manchester by the Sea that Tom himself admitted was far too large for the time allotted, a job scheduled for 18 months that the team completed in just 10. Beyond the physical work, Tom became one of the show's most beloved educators, known for breaking down complicated construction tasks into steps that ordinary viewers could understand and learn from. He once said that if he hadn't become a contractor, he probably would have ended up as a teacher, and in many ways, that's exactly the role he grew into through the show. That passion for teaching extended well beyond the screen. Tom became deeply involved in vocational education, playing a key role in Generation Next, an initiative from this Old House aimed at encouraging young people to consider careers in the skilled trades at a time when the country faces a shortage of over 5 million workers in those fields simply because there aren't enough trained people to fill them. Behind the scenes, however, Tom's decades on the show were not without conflict. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, he found himself repeatedly at odds with producers over what he saw as fundamental issues. Not simple disagreements about camera angles, but deeper disputes about the show's integrity. Tom believed this Old House needed to prioritize real materials, real tools, and real solutions to real problems. When producers began compressing construction timelines to meet filming schedules, he felt it undermined the honesty of the show itself, since cutting corners for the sake of the camera conflicted with everything he believed about doing work properly. The tension grew serious enough that Tom eventually gave producers an ultimatum: either give him more say over how the construction process was portrayed, or he would leave. Recognizing both his skill and the trust he had built with audiences, producers adjusted their approach to give him more input, and he stayed on. That wouldn't be the last time Tom considered walking away. By 2004, mounting pressure led him to begin drafting a resignation letter. It was an impulsive decision. He discussed it with his family and seriously weighed stepping away from the show for good, worn down by what felt like being asked to compromise construction logic in favor of production convenience. When producers realized how serious he was, they responded by offering him greater autonomy, guaranteeing his work wouldn't be altered for the sake of runtime, and promising to respect the technical standards he valued. The resignation letter was never sent, but its existence reflected how close the show came to losing the person who gave it much of its authenticity. The 2010s brought a new kind of challenge, as television itself changed with the rise of streaming and shifting audience expectations. Producers floated the idea of reducing Tom's screen time to make room for younger personalities who might appeal more to newer viewers. For Tom, this wasn't simply about age. It was about protecting what made the show valuable in the first place: its reliability, depth, and commitment to showing viewers the real process behind a renovation rather than a polished, simplified version of it. He pushed back firmly, arguing that audiences tuned in not for flash, but for the kind of hands-on wisdom that comes only from real experience. Longtime fans and even some younger staff supported him, reinforcing that Tom wasn't just part of this old house. He was central to it. In 2018, tragedy struck the production when Austin Wilson, a young crew member Tom had personally mentored, passed away suddenly during a filming season. The loss affected Tom deeply and personally, not just professionally. Those close to him noticed he withdrew from conversations, grew quieter during meetings, and began questioning whether it might be time to step away from the work he had done for decades. According to colleagues, it may have been the first time they saw him seriously consider leaving, not because he'd stopped loving the craft, but because something in him had fundamentally shifted after the loss. Support came in an unexpected place. Austin's own family reached out to Tom, telling him how much their son had admired him, not only as a builder, but as a person. Over the following months, Tom slowly found his footing again. In early 2025, during an internal production meeting, Tom, now 77 years old, confirmed to colleagues that he had no plans to retire. He said he would continue as lead contractor and technical consultant for upcoming seasons, with major projects already planned in Westford and Ridgewood. For Tom, the decision represented more than continuing a job. It was a commitment to preserving the integrity and old-school craftsmanship that has defined this old house for decades, a signal that the setback of losing someone he cared about had not broken his connection to the work. Tom's legacy has increasingly extended beyond renovation projects and television appearances into mentorship. In 2016, he began working closely with his nephew, Charlie Silva, who is now president of Silva Brothers Construction, investing real time and guidance to help him grow into the role. Charlie's introduction to this old house came through the Arlington Arts and Crafts House project, and he has since become a familiar presence on the show. Tom's mentorship hasn't been limited to family either. He has worked to support other tradespeople across different specialties, including those focused on finishing work, landscape design, and electrical systems, treating collaboration as essential to good craftsmanship rather than something that happens in isolation. That same philosophy drives his involvement in Generation Next, launched in 2016 to address the country's shortage of skilled tradespeople by encouraging young people to consider careers in the trades. Tom has described the process as starting with something as simple as putting a tool in a young person's hands and watching their interests take hold. As an ambassador for the program, he serves on technical advisory boards, speaks at industry events, and has worked alongside figures like Mike Rowe to raise awareness and funding, including a $25,000 donation from Irwin to support the Home Builders Institute. Even at 77, Tom shows no signs of slowing down. He continues to manage major renovation projects while balancing responsibilities in production, training, and consulting, having found a working rhythm that lets him stay engaged without burning out. He's also known for balancing tradition with careful, thoughtful use of new techniques and tools, preferring steady, purposeful progress over chasing every new trend. In the end, Tom Silva's story is less about nail guns and renovations and more about values: hard work, patience, mentorship, and an unwavering belief in doing things properly. Through decades of building, teaching, and quietly shaping the people around him, Tom has left a mark that extends well beyond the homes he's helped restore.